This is the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with your host, Vicki Davis.
Thank you, Tara, for sponsoring today's show, a new tool to help teachers streamline their biggest burdens and create more time. Stay tuned at the end of this show to learn how to get your free account and about the powerful tracking abilities for teachers and special education teachers. Today, we're talking with Jessica Adams, an IT coordinator in Hoschton, Georgia. So, Jessica, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
So describe the day you realized that you needed a website.
Recently, I found my voice on Twitter by creating what are called Tuesday Tech Tips. I'm not the only one who does that, but I started doing that and they've become quite popular. And someone said, "Hey, where's your website where I can get all of these?" And I thought, I don't have one. I guess I need a website.
Okay, so you realized you needed a website. So what were the steps that got you to creating it? You realized you need a website, and what came next?
I realized I needed a website. And actually, several years ago, I started a blog and it died on the vine. I was using Blogger, which is a great tool, but it didn't look like I wanted it to. And then the pandemic came along, everything went crazy. And so I was kind of rolling around the idea of resurrecting that blog, even though I didn't like how it looked. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere comes a new Tony Vincent class, Classy Sites, which was all about building a website. And so I thought, well, I'm going to sign up for that because I've taken his other classes and they are fabulous. So if you haven't taken them, I highly recommend them. And so that's what got me started on this journey. And now I have a website.
Cool. And shout out to Tony. I'm sure we'll send him the link. He's awesome. He's been on the show before. So he helped you set up this website. Did you have to think about your theme, because you have a great title and a great theme of your site? How did you come up with that? Because that has to come before you create the site, right?
Absolutely. And I'd come up with the name All the Tabs for my blog way back when. And that's because I'm one of those people that always has a bajillion tabs open on my computer. I think last night I was counting, I had 38 open. I'm just one of those kind of people. Plus, I have them all open in my brain as well. And I think most of us in education are like that. So I thought that was a great name for my site. But then I had to roll around ideas for what I wanted my logo, my brand to look like, not just the name, but for the whole visual aspect of it.
Okay, so you came up, you have all the tabs, and then what did you do next?
So to design my logo, I actually modeled it after a tab group in Google Chrome because that was perfect because that's for managing your tabs as well. And so I designed a logo using Google Drawings of all things to create that. But of course, you can create logos and other tools as well. And I chose colors that are representative of what you see in Google Tabs. I have a pink color that represents the little icon you can put in for a tab group, then a gray and a really, really dark blue. And so those all kind of coordinate together to make it look like a tab group when you're looking at my logo.
Cool. So you got the logo. Where did you head to build your site?
Google Sites, of course. And so with Tony's class, it was all about using Google Sites. And it's amazing because Google Sites is free and you can build a really incredible website with the tools you have there. Plus, it's super easy to use.
I started with Blogger and I ended up on WordPress. Of course, I had the name, which I brainstormed a good 50 to 100 names. And my students helped me pick the name, but I cannot stress how important the name is, right, Jessica?
Super duper important.
Yeah, because I can remember all the tabs. Jessica's all the tabs because people
I'm all the
remember your
tabs.
blog names and even better than they remember our names.
Exactly.
Okay, you had all the tabs. You said, hey, I'm going to use Google Sites. Now, in Google Sites lets you blog now, right?
It doesn't have a blogging tool per se, but you can set things up where you have a blog feel to it. One thing that's important, I think, when you have a website is that you don't navigate people away from your website unnecessarily. And so instead of linking back to that old Blogger blog, I started fresh and built it in there so it flows like a blog does. People can't leave comments, but I guess people don't always leave comments, so that might be okay. So it's just nice to have that. Plus, in addition to my blog, I have other resources I've put together, not just my Tuesday Tech Tips, but conference presentations and things like that. And so they can all be housed together on the website.
Did you feel like this is a great project to do over the summer that teachers can pull stuff together? Now, teachers tend to be extremely humble and they're like, I can't say anything about myself. Like, how did you pull out, what am I going to put on this site?
I had to be very intentional because you have to know your audience, of course. And my audience is not just the teachers in my building, but hopefully teachers elsewhere. I want to put together a repository of ed tech tips and also share information that I've learned. And so I think starting with what your purpose is, coming up with your brand idea, before you actually build is really important. And that's what Tony's class did for us. We didn't even learn about building a website until after we got done through the first week. So I had my logo ready to go, I had my colors picked out, I had my fonts picked out, and then I was ready to go into Google Sites and start building my site.
Now, a great website to go to pick your colors is that I use is called Coolors, Coolors. Where did
And
you go to
that's
pick your
Coolors as well,
Oh, okay.
because
Yeah.
I grabbed that pink color from the tab group and put it into Coolors to find coordinating colors in the palette generator.
Yeah,
And
and then
said, yeah, that's a fabulous site.
Yeah, you can copy those hex numbers and pull them right out. Now, where did you go to pick your fonts?
I have had a long-standing love affair with Ferdoka 1. I don't know why, but it's
Okay.
I don't know why, but it's the font I use in my Tuesday Tech Tips. And so I chose to use that as my headings and titles on my website. And I use Arial for the body text because that is the font that Google uses on the tab. And so I thought that would be important to do since I had all the tabs theme. But there's so many fonts to choose from at Google. It's hard to choose, but the font is also part of your brand. If you have a very whimsical website, you have a whimsical font. But if it's serious, you have to have a more serious font.
Okay, so you're knowing your audience and creating that to make it useful for your audience. What do you say to the teacher who says, I don't have an audience, I just know I need a website because somebody said I need one? Because us teachers, we're pretty mobile. We can go from school to school. So it's kind of like a portfolio, right?
It is like a portfolio. And also, we talk about how important student voice is, but I don't hear people talking about grown-up voice, adult voice. I'm sure it is important. If it wasn't, social media wouldn't be so popular, but it's a place to have your teacher voice. We all have resources that we've created and thought about, and we all have things to talk about. So a website's a great place to do that.
Okay, so you have this website, all the tabs, it's on Google Sites. How do you maintain it? Because you still share on Twitter, and we will share your Twitter account so you can follow and get those great Tuesday tech tips. But what else?
I'm just now going live with my website, so I don't know how the maintenance part's going to work yet. Hopefully I can keep it going, but I will say that one thing Google Sites allows you to do is to develop your own theme. That's relatively new in Google Sites. I think it came out last September. And when you do that, you have control over every minute detail, the theme colors and the fonts, and you can't control the layout so much. There are a lot of options there, but I think that when you have the ability to customize it so much, you feel a ton of ownership. So it's not just someone else's template. You've created your own template there. And that, for me, is inspiring to help me keep going and keep doing the maintaining.
So describe the first time you told a friend that, hey, I'm building this website. How did you tell somebody that you were building it? How did you explain this journey?
I have a couple techie friends. And so as soon as Classy Sites was announced, I'm like, Tony's got a new class, I'm signing up for it. It's about building your website. And they were like, yay. And I've sent screenshots to a few friends because, again, I'm really proud of the work I've done. And I wanted to show them a preview of what I put together. And they agreed it's so important to be able to share your voice. And the website, again, makes that easy to do.
So it sounds like building this website is really important to you. How would you describe what it means to you to have your place on the web?
It makes me feel powerful because I can communicate and share information out there with the world. I love learning, but I really love sharing what I've learned with other teachers. My role is supporting teachers in my building, and I want to support teachers everywhere. And this is a way I can do that.
Oh, that's wonderful. What mistake did you make with building this site that you don't want other teachers to make?
I don't know if it's a mistake, but you have to do a lot of trial and error. So I've created a ton of images and doodads and things like that I thought I was going to use on the website. And when I got it on there, I didn't like how it looked. And with the magic of Google Sites, you can play around with the tool, but it doesn't publish live until you tell it to. So if you make a mistake, no one has to see it. You can actually change it. I think that also a mistake that I avoided, because with Blogger, I jumped right in with my blog, but I didn't really think about how the blog was going to look. On the website building process, the last thing I did was start my blog on it. I got all the other things taken care of first. And so I think it's, you lay the groundwork before you do the creative, but before you do that blogging piece or getting that information and that content out there, you need to have a place for that content to be. I think that's my recommendation.
Now, some teachers will say, oh, Jessica, I don't have 30 or 40 hours. How many hours do you think it would take a teacher just to create a simple website?
You can knock one out in 30 minutes. Google Sites is so easy, but of course it may not look like you want it to. But if you already have information and materials and an idea of what you want to put on there, you can put it together really quickly.
So let's mention this. I have my students build websites every year. My 8th and 9th grade updates their website from 8th grade. And so they update it all the way through until they graduate. And I've had many of my students submit, a lot of college applications have a place where you can put your personal website link now. And so I have my own students building on Google Sites. You think personally that this is something that you can bring to students?
Oh, absolutely. Students love having their voice out there, and a website's a great way to do it because it's so customizable and can be very interactive and it's very visual. So yes, I think it'd be great for students as well.
Yeah, and we want to point out that you can publish it just so people at your domain name can see it. So it can't be public on the web, because a lot of teachers are like, oh, I can't guarantee every single thing every single student wrote. So you can put it just for your domain. So as we finish up, talk to all the teachers out there who are like, okay, why do I need a site? Help folks understand the importance of this. We all have this digital fingerprint. Talk about it.
I think everyone can have a website and should have a website. I think that probably the hesitation for a lot of people is not, do I need a website or not, but I don't know how to make a website. And with Google Sites and other tools, it can be super easy to do that. And it doesn't have to be a really big thing at first. It can just start out small. And whether you're blogging or sharing information or resources, there's an opportunity for everybody to create a website.
And I want to point out that all of us will be on the web. So I've seen professors who said, or teachers, I'm not going to be on the web. And there's that Rate That Professor website. And they didn't put anything on the web. Somebody went and wrote a scathing review and they asked how to get it off the internet. The best way to get negative stuff off the internet is to bury it with great content that you have ahead of time. So having an 8 to 10 page website in many ways is insurance against that sort of thing that can happen. I've seen people create fake profiles on Facebook or fake profiles on Instagram for their teachers. And those teachers can't even report it to Facebook or Instagram, or which is really the same company, or TikTok or whatever. They can't report it if they're not on it. Just having those profiles reserved, having that domain, having that website is a great thing to do. Okay, Jessica Adams, all the tabs, right?
Yes, all the tabs.
All the tabs, and it'll be in the show notes. And again, we'll link to Tony Vincent and everybody else. And congratulations, your website looks great. I can't believe you drew that logo in Google Drawings. I am quite speechless about that.
I got some mad graphic design skills from one of Tony's other classes, so I was glad to be able to use those tools.
Yeah, seriously. I use Canva, so that's where all my web graphics come from. So teachers, as you look towards your summertime, as you look towards your break, having that website is a great thing to have. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Tara, for sponsoring today's show, a new tool to help teachers streamline their biggest burdens and create more time. Stay tuned at the end of this show to learn how to get your free account and about the powerful tracking abilities for teachers and special education teachers.
You've been listening to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast. If you like this program, you can find more at coolcatteacher.com. If you wish to see more content by Vicki Davies, you can find her on Facebook and Twitter under Cool Cat Teacher. Thank you for listening.